Welcome to Style of Play with myself, Theo. As always, thank you very much for joining the channel. If you are new here, as always, as I always say, please make sure you go to this channel, you subscribe, you let people know that we're here, you let people know what we're trying to do on this channel. Yeah, let people know that we're here, man, because obviously it's a new channel, slowly growing, increasing very, very slowly. So we appreciate everyone that is already liking the videos, commenting, and all of that stuff. The Premier League preview show, we are here. We are here. We are finally here for the preview of the show. There's a lot's been happening, man. A lot's been happening. We're going to try and dissect a lot of that in this video. Obviously, it's match day 2 coming up as well. A couple of transfers are happening along the way. Just been reading about Kepa going to Bournemouth as well. It looks like Marino is going to Arsenal. So that looks like a good deal for Arsenal. Liverpool still have not really been in the shop window for anyone at the moment. So I'm sure Liverpool fans, if there's any Liverpool fans watching the live stream or after the live stream, make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comments as well about whether you will sign someone in this transfer window. Again, obviously Manchester United have done a good bit of business in terms of bringing in certain players that they needed to, but they still might need to address certain things. We're going to try and address all of that in this window. Let's start with the news, man. Let's start with some news, because obviously Maresca. Let's start with Maresca. So Maresca, in a press conference, I believe today, has said that there is still opportunity for Chelsea to sign a striker. He's keen, obviously, to try and bring someone in. So it looks like Chelsea may be getting a striker of some sort at some point. So yeah, we need to... What's going on here? What is all this? What is all this? Yeah, anyway, they need to sign a striker. So if they can get a striker, which I think they'll have to, I think Chelsea need to bring one in. Looking at Nicholas Jackson, watching them last night as well. This thing's asking me to log in again. What's going on? Yeah, watching Chelsea yesterday, you can clearly see that they need a striker. They need someone who's going to be in that team, who can definitely score goals, because the one thing they lack in that team is goals. 1,000,000% Chelsea need a goal scorer. And if they don't have a goal scorer, then I think that's going to hurt Chelsea again, like it did last season and the season before that. So yeah, man, they need a goal scorer quick as well. Don't know why it's making me do this again, but we're here. That's what they want me to do. That's what they want me to do, man. If that's what they want me to do, guys, that's what we're going to do. But yeah, Chelsea need a striker. 100% they need a striker very quickly as well. I do worry about Chelsea in terms of their goal scoring threat. Obviously, they've got Mark Gu, who's there at the moment. They also have Nicholas Jackson that can play there. They got Christopher Nkunku that can play in that role. But I feel like Chelsea need an out-and-out striker. They need someone that's going to be able to play in that role and be clinical. You know, they have 3 options there, as it says in the Athletic. You know, Christopher Nkunku, Mark Gu, and Nicholas Jackson. All 3 of them. But you could say that Nicholas Jackson isn't really the striker for the Premier League at the moment. You could say that Christopher Nkunku isn't a natural number 9, as we know he's not already. We could say that Mark Gu, 18 years old, you know, he's obviously come through. And we got to say, Mark Gu yesterday had an opportunity against Servette to score a goal. How he never scored that goal yesterday, I do not know. But Chelsea need to get a striker in. Obviously, there is talk, as it says in this article by Simon Johnson from The Athletic, that Chelsea are interested in Napoli centre-forward Victor Osimhen. But they've told Serie A club they will only consider a loan deal. Napoli and the player would prefer a permanent sale and are considering their options. So again, it does say in here that Maresca has confirmed that the new signing, João Felix, will be available to make his debut against Wolves on Sunday. Pedro Neto, who also joined from Wolves for the initial €60 million, is set to be named on the bench for his return to the Molineux. The winger has played a full 90 minutes has not played, a full 90 minutes since February, partly due to injury, and he's been eased back into full match fitness. So Neto did obviously play some part in the game yesterday. He was subbed off after, I think it's about 60 minutes or so against Servette in the Conference League. So he is building up that match fitness for whatever he wants to do in terms of his ideas for him. But I do have to say that, I look at Chelsea and I do worry about them in terms of the strikers, man, because they ain't really got a striker in the team, and I think that's a worry. I think if you're a manager or whatever, you want a good goal scorer, you need a goal scorer, you need good defenders, you need a good goalkeeper, but you do need a good striker. And if you haven't got that, then yeah, it could be curtains for Chelsea this season already. Let's quickly move over to Kepa, who again looks like there's going to be a deal. David Ornstein broke this news a couple of hours ago. Bournemouth are working on a deal to sign Kepa from Chelsea. Kepa Arrizabalaga has fallen down the pecking order at Chelsea, Stamford Bridge, and Bournemouth are looking to recruit him on loan for the 24-25 season. He looks like he's going. The 29-year-old has been identified as a top target. Other teams are considering Arrizabalaga, while Bournemouth have alternative options for positions, including Aaron Ramsdale from Arsenal as well. So, Kepa, who had a really good loan opportunity at Real Madrid, he took it. He made 20 appearances. He won the Champions League with them as well. I think this would be a good signing for Kepa. It would be a good signing for Bournemouth. Obviously, I would say more so for Bournemouth. I think Chelsea potentially would want a permanent deal, but again, there's probably not many suitors around for goalkeepers at the moment, so a loan deal would probably make more sense for him. But we'll have to see with Kepa. I think it's a good signing. I think it's a really good signing for Bournemouth. He's a really good goalkeeper, and he's still quite young as well. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Now let's move over to Liverpool. Again, James Pearce, very heavily linked with Liverpool Football Club, has come out to say that Arne Slot has explained that Liverpool's decision to sell some of the club's talented youngsters this summer. Sepp van der Berg has gone to Brentford, obviously 25 million. The midfielder, Fabinho Carvalho, 21, has been sent over to, where did he move to? Oh yeah, he didn't go, he went Brentford as well, isn't it? He's gone Brentford as well. So yeah, they've both gone there. So obviously Bobby Clark going to Red Bull Salzburg as well. 10 million switch for him. So Klopp's kids is being disbanded by the looks of it. And I do feel for Liverpool, because Liverpool, I've always said Liverpool have got a really good youth setup. They've got a really good crop of youngsters coming through. We've seen Ben Doak, we've seen Connor Bradley as well come through the ranks. And I think it's a shame, because I think before Arne Slot came in, and I'm not blaming Arne Slot for this at all, but, you look at it again, Joel Cancel, another one that came through those ranks, and you think they haven't really bolstered that squad at all when you think about the players that they probably need to bring in that they haven't brought in. And it's worrying. Again, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago on the debate show last Monday as well, and also in the Liverpool preview. Van Dijk, Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold are all going into that final year of their contracts, and none of them look like they're currently sitting down with the club to try and discuss a new term or a new deal with them. So I think that is probably, for me, would be a concern. If I was a Liverpool fan at the moment, they're clearly not looking to buy many players in this window, whether they're going to bring one or two in. Obviously, they're going for the goalkeeper at the moment, which I think the goalkeeper situation now might even shift, because if you think about it, if Kepa does go to Bournemouth, one of the things that the goalkeeper that was due to go to Liverpool, he was meant to go on loan to Bournemouth for 2 seasons. So it looks like Bournemouth have changed their direction and going for Kepa. That might now scupper the deal that Liverpool wanted to try and get over the line for their goalkeeper. And Arne Slot, obviously, from what it sounds like here, very frustrated. It says down here, Arne Slot's played down talks of Joe Gomez leaving the club prior to next week's transfer deadline. Slot said he's worked really hard since he came back. He didn't play a lot in the Euros when he came back in the first seasons. He couldn't train with the whole session, so he managed his load, and that was also a bit of the reason why he wasn't in the team last weekend. This week, he had a good week in terms of load and how much he could do with the team. He's one of the players that I see new things from. At this moment, I'm expecting everyone to be here. when the window shuts, but we are maybe even longer in football, but you are maybe even longer in football than I am. Looking at you, a little bit older than me, everything can change. So I think Slot's obviously trying to say there that, you know, there is an opportunity maybe for Joe Gomez to go out of Anfield and to another club. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But I do worry about Liverpool. You know, going into this, they get a couple of injuries. They're looking a bit thin on the ground. You know, Robertson's picked up a couple of injuries over the last couple of seasons. Trent as well. So they need to keep a lot of this team fit if they're going to try and push for that league or even push for, you know, European competition this season. So I do worry about that. They might still bring in players, Liverpool. You know, that's one thing about Liverpool. You know, they are, as much as they love to sell, as love that they much like to bring through some of the youth players, I do think they like to get the deal right, to get the deal done, but they'll get it done in their own way as well. So we'll have to see, man. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, Liverpool play Brentford, so there might be an opportunity for Van der Berg and also Carvalho to potentially play against their former club Sunday 4:30. But let's move to Manchester City as well, because Rodri is still out for Manchester City. They do have Ilkay Gundogan back from Barcelona. He signed, I think, today. So obviously press conference was held today with Pep Guardiola on Man City. He's come out to say that Rodri is very unlikely to feature against Ipswich this weekend, but did suggest that Ilkay Gundogan could play following his return to the club. Rodri, as it says here, is not trained with the team due to a hamstring injury he picked up during the European Championship final against England in July. And while Guardiola said that he's close to returning to training, he is unlikely that he will be back in action on Saturday. Guardiola went on to say that he's getting better. He's not with the group today. He will do past the training, maybe. I don't think we will see him today and tomorrow. So I think that kind of gives you an indication that we won't potentially see, obviously, Rodri playing. But Gundogan coming back, you know, regular person, a fan favourite at Manchester City, someone that is very experienced, 33 years of age, I think he is now, someone that is really, really experienced. And I think he comes in and he'll add that quality, maybe what they thought a Calvin Phillips was able to do for them, you know, a couple of seasons ago when Gundogan left. But, you know, to come in, and obviously Kovacic last week bossed Chelsea's midfield. You know, so I think they have options, very good option to bring in Gundogan, I think, in this part of the season. Very shrewd bit of business. When you think back to, obviously, they let him go to Barca. He's come back on a free as well. So Manchester City are doing some really good business, and bringing in an experienced player like Gundogan, for me, is a top move from Pep and Manchester City. Obviously, they still have the 115 hanging over them. The charges are hanging over them still at the moment. So I think there might be obviously discussions around, is that why they're bringing in free transfers? They're bringing in a bit of experience as opposed to going out and signing every man and his dog like Chelsea are doing. But no, it's a really good bit of business for City. Bringing in Gundogan, for me, will give that level of experience that they possibly need when someone like Rodri's out in that team. You know, he can fill in and do that job. And let's be honest, no disrespect to Ipswich at all, but I feel like Man City will be able to cope without a Rodri or even Gundogan in that team. You know, I feel like Kovacic could do that role again, like he did against Chelsea last Sunday, and still they could convincingly win as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes as well. But let's go to Arsenal. Arsenal are in talks with Mikel Arteta over a new deal. The delay to his contract will resume after the transfer window, I believe. The Spaniard is into his last year of his current deal, which was signed in 2022 and expires in June 2025, and has fielded questions about his future since the back end of last season. Arteta went on to say that the focus has been on the transfer window. We had quite a lot of things to do and discuss. We are on it and we will take care of it at the right moment. So it looks like, obviously, Arsenal, they've got Mikel Merino coming from Real Sociedad. There is still talk about Eddie and Nketiah going to Nottingham Forest as well. So I think they're trying to get a couple of those moves done before they focus on Arteta's new deal. Again, you know, Arteta coming in, more contracts than trophies for Arsenal, but I don't want to get shut down by Basil on the debate show in a couple of weeks when I'm back from my travels. But yeah, I think Arsenal, you know, they've got a good squad. They have, for me, still have to bring in a striker. I don't know who that striker is. It could be Alexander Isak, a very good opportunity for him to maybe step up and go to Arsenal. But I feel like Arsenal have some unfinished business in that window. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they haven't done the Arteta contract deal just yet, because they want to make sure that they get their transfer targets through the door first. Arteta isn't in any rush to sign a deal. I don't think he's going anywhere. No club's going to come in and try and prize Arteta away. So I think they're focusing on trying to get a striker in. They want to try and obviously get rid of Eddie Nketiah, bring in Mikel Moreno. They've also brought in Calafiori already. So, they've done some good bit of business, and they looked really good against Wolves last week as well. So Villa will be a different kettle of fish for Arsenal, because Aston Villa play some really good football, really good football. And I think at Villa Park, it's always really difficult to go there, especially after everyone's played their games. You get that 5:30 kickoff, and you have to go and play against the likes of Ollie Watkins and co. and do that. I think it will be difficult. But as I said, Kai Havertz has played really well for them. Saka was really good against Wolves last week as well. But, Duran played really well. Bailey played really well. McGinn played really well for Villa as well. So just looking on here, you can see a couple of the injuries are out that were already known. So we know that Tomiyasu and Kieran Tierney are both out for Arsenal. Arsenal currently sitting in second place in the Premier League. And Kamara and Olsen are out for... and Tyrone Mings as well are all out for Aston Villa as well. So... yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be a really difficult game. I think Unai Emery loves a really good opportunity to get one over on his old team. And I think I really do think Villa could get a win there. I really do think Villa could get a win against Arsenal. Like I said, it's always difficult going to Villa Park. It's a really intimidating ground to go to. But Villa, are playing some really good football. Really good football. I feel like Villa have to get as many results as they can before the Champions League kicks off, because I think once that kicks in, and they might lose a couple of more players to injuries and things like that, they might struggle. Now, I look at Villa, and obviously Raheem Sterling is looking for a new club by the looks of it at the moment. Villa could be an option. I know there's been talk about Crystal Palace and other clubs that have been involved in discussions with Raheem Sterling, but I look at Aston Villa and I think he would actually suit how they play. I think him on one side, Bailey on the other side. I think they would do some business if they could get Raheem Sterling at Aston Villa. Now, obviously, Sterling would probably have to take a wage cut to go there, but if they can bring him in, I think he's definitely suiting Villa. The way that they play under Unai Emery would be scary to see Raheem Sterling there. So, we have to see. But let's try and go through the fixtures one by one. So obviously we've got an early game. Brighton versus Manchester United at the Amex. Brighton currently sitting first place. Brighton fans, I wish you could stop the season now a bit and win the league. But, sitting at the top, I actually thought Brighton played really well against Everton. A 3-0 win. It was so easy for Brighton. Whether that's because it was made easy by Everton. But I thought, Minter, I thought Welbeck, I thought Matoma played really well. They just looked really good. And, under the manager that they've got now, you kind of look at them and you think... yeah, De Zerbi had them playing a certain way, but they're playing even better now, and they've still got the same crop of players. So let's be honest, Danny Welbeck again, he loves to score against his old teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see him, get a goal against Man United. It could happen. But Brighton's going to be a difficult game. Early kickoffs for me are always the difficult ones. Manchester United were very lucky against Fulham last week. I thought, until they really brought on Joshua Zirkzee, they didn't look like scoring. Rashford wasn't really in the game. Garnacho wasn't really in the game. Mason Mount wasn't really in the game. Fernandes had 2 really good opportunities, but didn't take either of them. I think I look at this team and, I worry about United going into that game. I could see Brighton getting the results there. I'm gonna go. My prediction would be Brighton will get the win. I think they'll win 2-1. I think United will probably score a consolation, but I think Brighton will control that game very, very easily at the Amex as well. I think United will struggle. Currently sitting in seventh place, obviously first game of the season. On goal difference, they're sitting seventh, 3 points. So yeah, I think they'll struggle on that game, if I'm honest. I really do. Tottenham Everton. Now, we gotta be honest about Everton, man. We gotta be honest about them. We gotta be honest about Tottenham, actually, because Tottenham, for me, looked like a team of two halves on Monday night against Leicester. The first half, they just looked in control. Solanke was getting opportunities on the ball. Brennan Johnson was getting opportunities on the ball. Udogie was getting forward as he knows he likes to. But they just struggled, man. They just struggled. They struggled. And I don't know what it was, whether it was Leicester just grew into the game or whether, Tottenham switched off. They couldn't take their chances in the first half. All those rude missed chances that they should have really put away. They just didn't take them. But they are coming up against a team, Everton, that, again, really do struggle in front of goal. They struggle to take their chances. Calvert-Lewin. I watched their game against Tranmere the other night in the under-21s in the AFL Trophy, and Beto, again, another one that was brought in to try and alleviate some of that pressure from Calvert-Lewin, just doesn't seem to be able to do it. I know he scored again against Tranmere, but again, a player that's having so many chances and missing them. I think that's the worry. If you was an Evertonian, you would have to say that you're worried now about where these goals are coming from. I think Onana, as I said, I think in the preview before the season started, for me, was a player that caused problems in the midfield, aerially for other teams as well. They've lost a bit of that now without Onana being in there. They still have, obviously, Tarkowski and others that can come up for corners and set pieces. But I think Onana was one of those players that just, you'd sometimes find them just at the right place at the right time to score the goal. And I think he done that so well. Everton, for me, are the team that I look at. They have to do better. They have to do better because, you're going into your last season at Goodison Park. You don't want to be getting relegated. They're currently 20th, obviously, again, first game of the season. But you just look at, that. I mean, goals conceded. I know this is all early, but look at that possession of the ball against Brighton was 37%. Like, that's crazy. That's bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers to think that a club, with the team that they have, the way that Sean Dyche gets them to set up, they can't even retain the ball. This is why, again, they're letting so many goals in, because they're not holding on to the ball. When they get it, they lose possession really quickly. And Tottenham, a team that like to play on the break as well. I think I can see Tottenham doing that to them. I can see Tottenham on the break, counter-attacking football, get the ball. Before you know it, it's up top. Now, obviously, a big miss for them will be Dominic Solanke, who I believe is out. He's injured already for Tottenham. So that could bring in an opportunity for Richarlison to come back in, who had a really good moment in that game against Leicester to score, similar to what Vardy did as well, to try and win the game for either side of the teams. But I think Dominic Solanke being out, who I thought had a really good debut, a positive debut against Leicester, but they have to score the early goal, Everton. If they're going to get any chance at this game, they have to score an early goal because, going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is going to be difficult enough as it is. And like I keep saying about Everton, I don't see where their goals are coming from. So I'm going to go Tottenham in that one. I think they'll win with ease, very comfortable. But if Everton get the early goal and maybe try and, sit back for the first half, if they can get that in the first half, the goal, and then sit back till half time and then try and press them again, try and get another goal in the second half, I think that's the only way they're going to win. They have to try and take the game to Tottenham. If they sit back, invite pressure, lose possession of the ball like they did against Brighton, it could be another 3 or 4-0. So they have to be careful there. But let's move to Crystal Palace West Ham. Another game where I look at these two teams and I think, obviously, Crystal Palace losing to Brentford, opening game of the season. Villa beating West Ham, opening game of the season. Palace are a difficult one because I do like the new manager that's come in. I like the way he's got them set up and the way that they're playing. I thought they played some really good football against Brentford. But again, you have to question these sort of games. They have to be winning. They have to be winning these sort of games, because if they don't, again, they are going to struggle. They are going to struggle, Who can I go for in this one? I feel like West Ham. I feel like West Ham have the better bench as well. We still haven't seen Nicholas Füllkrug as well. Mikel Antonio, I think, for me, if I'm the manager of West Ham, I'm starting Füllkrug in this game, because I feel like he's going to offer you more going forward, especially against the Palace defence. I felt the first goal that Brentford scored was so easy. I think Mark Guehi, again, doesn't show him onto his right, lets him cut in for the shot, and he scores the goal. I do feel partially that maybe Mark Guehi's head is kind of being turned by conversations of Newcastle. I think their third or fourth bid's just been rejected, but by Crystal Palace. So maybe his head's not really in it at the moment. Liverpool could come knocking for him if they do let Joe Gomez go as well. But Palace letting Jordan Ayew, we got to talk about that as well. Jordan Ayew is getting, I think it's like an 8 million move to Leicester. Leicester fans, you're going to be back in the Championship if you're not careful. You're going to be back in the Championship if you're not careful, guys. So 5 million. Yeah, I'm right. 8 million plus add-ons. So 5 million initial fee plus 3 million add-ons for the 32 Ghanaian international. I've got to be honest, that's a horror story waiting to happen. It really is. Leicester, as we know, we're going to talk about them in a minute, but they've signed obviously Oliver Skip, Fatawu, Okoli, Dewsbury Hall's gone, and obviously Iheanacho alongside Mark Albright and Dennis Peretz has gone as well. So I think going back to Crystal Palace and West Ham, I feel like West Ham will win it. I think Füllkrug will have a really good game. I think we'll see him on the score sheet as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how that pans out. But let's go to Wolves versus Chelsea. Wolves versus Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea fan. I got to back my boys, but I've also got to say this and caveat that very quickly as well with, Chelsea at the moment aren't showing any signs of improvement game after game. Thinking back to the preseason games, thinking back to the opening game against Manchester City, where I thought we played really well. We had a lot of the ball. We made our chances. We just didn't take them. Nicholas Jackson was offside for one of them. I think we've got to start with the right team. I think for me personally, I put Nkunku maybe as the number 9. I wouldn't start Nicholas Jackson. I would potentially start Pedro Neto, although from what Maresca said, he'll start on the bench. So that might mean Mudryk will start on the left. I still think we need to put Cole Palmer in the number 10. And I think if we play Nkunku as the striker, I think that gives opportunity for someone like Cole Palmer to play as the 10. I thought Noni Madueke played really well yesterday against Servette in the Conference League. So I think I'd keep him at the right side of that attacking midfield options. In midfield, it's tough because I think you still, I like Lavia. And I think this is one of the things when we signed Lavia, I always said, we might struggle to accommodate all three in terms of Enzo, Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia. And look, for me personally, I think Maresca is very keen on keeping Enzo as the captain of the club so far. One of those players for me is going to have to get dropped because I don't think you can put Enzo as the 10. It didn't really work against Man City. He wasn't sure whether he should be dropping into that sort of space or trying to drop back into that midfield space, and it just didn't work for what it was for Man City. And I think I personally would play Caicedo and Lavia, but I just have a feeling that we're going to see Enzo and Caicedo. Maybe Lavia gets dropped to the bench for this one, but I would personally play Caicedo and Lavia. I would stick with Gusto, Cucurella, put them back as my fullbacks, and I would go back to again, though, it's really hard then on Renato Vega because I think he's played really well when he came on against Man City. He played yesterday again against Servette and played really well. But I also think Cucurella is playing really well. So I think I would stick back to Cucurella. This is one of the things Chelsea are going to have a problem with. They're going to have to try and rotate the squad, keep everyone happy, but still find cohesion in the squad. And I think that's where we're going to struggle because we're going to have to keep rotating players to keep all these players happy that we've signed as well. So yeah, it's going to be a struggle, I think, going forward. But just in terms of Wolves, obviously struggled against Arsenal. opening game of the season. Both clubs really now at this point are desperate for 3 points. I think, you go back into that, and they have some really good striker options in the players that they've got there. And Cunha's another one who likes to get forward and score goals. So I think we have to be mindful of those sort of players. I think Neto will come on. I think at the moment he's 3-1 to score a goal. So if you're a betting man, get yourself down to the bookies and put him on, because I think he will score tomorrow, whether he comes on or he starts the game. I think he will come on. But I think with Wolves and Chelsea as well, they both need 3 points. So if they can get the 3 points, they should be able to start seeing some progression throughout the season. And I think this is a really good game for Chelsea to get the 3 points. You want to try and build up some momentum of results before you get to the international break in a couple of weeks. I think it's like the 7th of September. You want to get into some rhythm of results and get some wins on the table. So I think for Wolves as well, this is an important game for them. But I do think they've lost a lot of key players, which they potentially haven't replaced just yet. But there's still time for them to do that in the window before it shuts as well. Now, Fulham-Leicester, very quickly on Fulham-Leicester, I think Leicester. I really do. I liked the fact that Jamie Vardy was starting for them. Apparently, he hardly had a pre-season for Leicester and hardly played, hardly trained, but put in a really good performance. I think he played up until about 70 minutes against Tottenham, but he played really well and he looked really comfortable on the ball. And he just makes those runs, man. He only needs one opportunity, and he scores them. He's a goal scorer. He's a proven goal scorer. So I think Fulham will struggle again if he starts again. Vardy, which very likelihood, throw him a red ball, he's going to start the game. I would probably say that Fulham will lose that game to Leicester. I know I've just said they're going down. Obviously, to get that deal done for Jordan Ayew before the deadline, I think there's a registration which they might have missed if he hasn't signed today, actually. But if they haven't agreed that deal, I would say that he has to start, because obviously Iheanacho's gone now. They don't really have many options in that midfield anymore. But Leicester are a team that will probably surprise a couple teams like they did against Tottenham on Monday. I think they've got goals in them. They just have to try not to concede as well. So I'm going to go Leicester in that game. I'm going to go Leicester to win against Fulham. Southampton, Nottingham Forest. Boy, this is a tough one. I don't think either team's going to win. I don't think either team. Obviously, Danilo last week, really bad horror injury of a ankle break. Alanga's out, who I like. I think he's a really good player for Forest. But I don't see many goals in this game. I really don't. I think back to Southampton last season and watching them a lot, and Nottingham Forest as well, another team that just about stayed up last season. Let's go 0-0. Let's go 0-0 on that one. Let's move over quickly to the Sunday games. Well, the Man City Ipswich game, which we spoke about very briefly. I think City will be able to easily control that game at Etihad. Ipswich, I think, will just struggle there. They just will struggle. I think, the way that they played against Liverpool, I mean, that's just crazy. Having Liverpool and City in your first two games is crazy. But, Kieran McKenna's a really good manager. I just think he's going to see the difference in the Premier League to what the Championship is now, because you're playing against really good players here. Just looking at here now, the injuries that City have. Obviously, Rodri's out. We know that Oscar Bob out with an injury, leg break. And Savinho, who came off last Sunday against Chelsea, he's out as well. Muric, Burns, Hurst, Broadhead, Clark, and Denassian are all out for Ipswich. I mean, it's a lot of injuries there already for Ipswich to be dealing with so early into the season. But I think with Man City, they're going to do what Man City do. They're going to control the game. They're going to pass you to death. They're going to score. Haaland's probably going to get a hat-trick. You're probably going to see Bernardo Silva. This could be a 5-0 drilling, 100%. This could be an absolute thumping from Manchester City. So, we'll have to see how that goes. But I think 5-0. It's going to be a complete horror show for Ipswich. I can't see anything but a City win in there for me. But it's going to be bonkers. It's going to be crazy. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. Obviously, the debate show, I think, will be taking place. I won't be there, but the debate show will be taking place, I think, on Monday. So make sure you tune in for that one as well. Don't forget as well to subscribe, like the video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. And also go to the social accounts and make sure you hit them on there as well. And as I said, we'll be back soon with the debate show on Monday. And then we'll do some more previews throughout the week. So enjoy the rest of the weekend till you get to it. And until then, stay safe. I'm out.